After 60, something changes. The pace of life slows down, not in a sad way, but in a way that finally gives us room to breathe. The things that once seemed urgent no longer feel quite so important, and the things we overlooked, like a peaceful morning, a phone call from a loved one, or a moment of silence, suddenly become treasures. At this stage of life, we're not chasing promotions or climbing ladders. We're searching for peace, meaning, and maybe a little more simplicity. But here's the truth. Even in our golden years, it's easy to fall into financial habits that no longer serve us. Habits we picked up when we were younger, busier, or trying to prove something. And while those habits might have made sense then, now, they might just be holding us back from the freedom we've earned. So today, I want to invite you into a different kind of conversation. One that's not about judgment or guilt, but about release. About letting go of the money traps that quietly weigh us down and making room for the life we truly want to live. Because you are not too late. You are not behind. You are right on time to make powerful, gentle shifts that bring peace, clarity, and joy. Let's talk about 9 small financial habits that could be costing you more than you realize, and how to set yourself free from them one thoughtful decision at a time. 1. Letting go of designer labels. Let's start with something that many of us at one point or another have fallen for. Designer brands. High-end handbags, expensive shoes, name brand clothes that promised confidence, class, and sometimes even self-worth. For decades, many women believed that elegance was something you could wear, that a label could somehow make you more visible, more respected, more worthy, and maybe in certain stages of life, that felt true. At work, at events, around certain people. Dressing up gave us strength, polish, presence. But what happens when life no longer asks us to show up in heels and full makeup? When our days are more about coffee on the porch than boardroom meetings? Let me tell you about Diane. She's 68, retired, and used to have a closet that looked like it came straight out of a department store catalog. Every morning, she'd spend 20 minutes putting together the perfect outfit, even if she had nowhere to go. It was a habit, a ritual, a way to feel in control. One day, as she stood in front of all those clothes, she asked herself, "Who am I dressing up for now?" And just like that, something clicked. She realized that her worth had nothing to do with the price tag on her blouse. What people remembered most about her wasn't her purse. It was her kindness, her laugh, her stories. Now, Diane still dresses with care, but it's on her own terms. Soft fabrics, warm colors, clothes she can move, live, and relax in. And she says that her favorite accessory these days? Her peace of mind. Because here's the truth, real elegance isn't bought, it's felt. It's how we speak, how we make others feel, how we show up, not to impress, but to connect. So the next time you feel the urge to buy something flashy, take a breath. Ask yourself if it adds joy or just cost. You might find that letting go of that label gives you something far more valuable, freedom. The pressure to upgrade technology. Every year, there's a new phone, a faster tablet, a sleeker smartwatch. The ads promise more features, better performance, and a sense that if you don't upgrade, you're falling behind. It's subtle, but powerful. We start to believe that if we don't keep up, we're somehow missing out, that a newer device will make life easier, more connected, even more meaningful. But the truth? Sometimes it just makes things more complicated. Take Martha, for example. She's 72, sharp, independent, and used to love staying up to date with gadgets. So when a new phone came out, the one with all the bells and whistles, she thought, why not? She paid over $1,000 for the latest model, excited about the camera, the sleek design, the status of having the best. But within a week, she was overwhelmed. The interface had changed. Notifications kept popping up. She couldn't find her favorite apps. Calls were missed. Settings were confusing. And all she really wanted was to video chat with her granddaughter and check her email. Eventually, Martha made a choice that surprised even her. She returned the phone. She pulled out her old one, familiar and simple, and let herself breathe again. Because here's the thing. Technology is supposed to work for us, not against us. Just because something is newer doesn't mean it's better for you. If the device you have still does what you need, still connects you to the people you love, still brings you comfort, it's enough. Letting go of that pressure to upgrade doesn't make you out of touch. It makes you wise. It says you know the difference between being current and being content. So the next time you see an ad that tells you you're missing out, remember, peace of mind is worth more than a $1,000 phone. 3. The weight of credit card interest. Credit cards often start as a convenience, a dinner out, a quick fix for a car repair, a thoughtful gift for a loved one. But over time, that balance can grow quietly in the background until one day the interest alone is taking more from you than you ever expected. Susan, 70, knows this all too well. She was always careful with money, raised 3 kids, balanced budgets, paid bills on time. But after her husband passed, something shifted. Online shopping became a comfort. Sending gifts to her grandchildren felt like a way to stay close. Fixing up the house gave her a sense of control. None of it felt excessive in the moment, but it added up. 2 years later, Susan sat down to look at her credit card statements and realized she had paid over $9,000 in interest. Not purchases, just interest. That money could have gone toward travel, healthcare, or simply into savings. Instead, it vanished, quietly. But here's what matters most. Susan didn't let shame take over. She picked up the phone, called her bank, and made a plan. She started small, selling things she no longer needed, cooking at home more often, and staying intentional about every dollar. She forgave herself. And in that forgiveness, she found strength. Because credit card debt isn't just a number, it's a feeling, a weight, a whisper that keeps you up at night. But it doesn't have to define your story. If you're carrying that burden, please know you're not alone. So many women carry this invisible pressure, believing they have to fix it in silence. But there are tools. There's help. There's always a path forward. The less you owe, the lighter you feel. And the lighter you feel, the more space there is for joy, generosity, and peace. You deserve that lightness. You really do. 4. The silent drain of unused subscriptions. There's a quiet little trick companies use, and it works more often than we'd like to admit. They count on us forgetting. A free trial here, a $9.99 subscription there. It doesn't seem like much in the moment, but over time, these small charges start to add up, month after month, often without us even noticing. Let me tell you about Linda. She's 66 and lives in Arizona. During the height of the pandemic, she signed up for nearly every streaming service you could think of: Netflix, Hulu, a fitness app, even one for learning French. At the time, it felt good, like she was staying active, entertained, even productive. It gave her a sense of control in a world that felt out of control. But fast forward 2 years. Linda realized she was watching the same 2 shows over and over again, both of which, as it turned out, were free on regular TV. The rest? She hadn't opened those apps in months. When she finally checked her bank statements, she saw she'd been spending over $80 a month on subscriptions she barely used. That's nearly $1,000 a year. On nothing, really. That realization stung a little. But instead of feeling embarrassed, Linda got practical. She wrote down every subscription she had, canceled most of them, and kept just 1 or 2 that actually brought her joy. And here's the beautiful part. She didn't miss a thing. In fact, she discovered her local library offered free streaming through an app called Canopy. No hidden fees, no pressure to binge, just great stories and documentaries that sparked real connection and reflection. Because here's the truth, more options don't always mean more joy. Sometimes they mean more clutter, mental, emotional, and financial. So if you haven't looked through your subscriptions in a while, maybe now's the time. Not just to save money, but to make space. Space for what you truly enjoy. Space to breathe. 5. The cost of chasing the jackpot. Every Wednesday and Saturday night, millions of people hold on to a quiet hope. They buy a lottery ticket, choose a few lucky numbers, and for a moment, anything feels possible. A new house, a debt-free life, that dream vacation that's always just out of reach. But here's the hard truth. Lottery tickets aren't a plan. They're a distraction. And that hope we keep paying for, it rarely delivers the peace we're truly searching for. I want to introduce you to Carol. She's 65 and lives in Ohio. For years, Carol played the lottery faithfully. A few bucks here, $10 there, 20 when the jackpot got big. It's just pocket change, she used to say. Everyone needs a little hope. But one rainy afternoon, Carol sat down with a calculator. Out of curiosity, she added up how much she'd spent on tickets over the past 5 years. The number stunned her, over $5,000. And what did she have to show for it? A drawer full of losing stubs and a lingering feeling of disappointment. It hit her. She had been buying the feeling of maybe. Maybe things will get easier. Maybe life will change. But week after week, it didn't. And that hope, instead of lifting her, started to feel heavy. So Carol made a quiet decision. Instead of chasing luck, she would create joy, on purpose. She bought a small jar and labeled it Future Fun. Every week, instead of buying tickets, she dropped in $10. A few months later, she used that money to sign up for a pottery class she'd always wanted to try. Another time, she used it to take her grandkids on a weekend trip to the mountains. Real memories, real smiles, no waiting on numbers. Because here's the thing, we are already rich in the ways that count. In love, in wisdom, in experience. That kind of wealth doesn't come from a jackpot. It comes from choosing joy, one small moment at a time. So the next time you feel tempted to chase a dream that lives in a scratch-off ticket, ask yourself, what is it I really want? And is there another way to give that to myself today? 6. The true cost of food delivery convenience. There's something undeniably comforting about food delivery. A few taps on a screen and dinner shows up at your door. No shopping, no chopping, no dishes. Just ease. And sometimes, especially in hard seasons of life, that ease feels like a lifeline. But over time, convenience can come at a cost, one that's not just financial, but emotional, physical, and personal. Evelyn, 63, knows this better than most. After her husband passed away, cooking lost its joy. The silence in the kitchen felt heavy, and eating alone at the table felt even heavier. So she started ordering takeout. Thai on Mondays, pizza on Thursdays, pasta on the weekends. It filled the space for a while. But after a year, her doctor had a gentle conversation with her. Her blood pressure was up. She'd gained weight. Her energy was low. She wasn't sick. She was just disconnected. From her food, from her body, from herself. So Evelyn made a quiet promise. She would cook just 3 meals a week. Nothing complicated. Just real food, made with care. Soup with fresh herbs, roasted vegetables, baked salmon with lemon, meals her body recognized and her heart remembered from better times. And something shifted. The smell of onions sautéing brought her back to her mother's kitchen. The sound of a simmering pot softened the loneliness. And over time, she began to invite small moments of joy back in. She even started hosting lunch for a neighbor once a week. Just 2 women, a simple meal, and a lot of laughter. Of course, delivery has its place. No one's saying you have to cook every night. But when convenience becomes the norm, we lose something deeper. Food is more than fuel. It's connection. It's memory. It's an act of care, especially when we cook for ourselves, even if no one else is watching. So if you've been leaning a little too heavily on takeout, maybe ask yourself, not just what am I hungry for, but what am I missing? Because sometimes the thing we're really craving isn't food. It's the feeling of being nurtured, and you deserve that even and especially from yourself. 7. The guilt of unused exercise equipment. We often start with the best of intentions. A new year, a milestone birthday, a doctor's gentle warning, and suddenly we feel ready to take charge of our health. So we buy the machine, the treadmill, the stationary bike, the elliptical that promises energy, weight loss, transformation. For a little while it works, until life happens. Sharon, 69, bought a top-of-the-line exercise bike last spring. She imagined herself pedaling every morning with her favorite music, feeling strong and motivated, and for the first 2 weeks, that's exactly what she did. But then her daughter came to visit. Her knee flared up, the habit slipped, and suddenly the bike was just there. Quiet, unused, a constant reminder of what she meant to do but didn't, and with that silence came guilt. Every time Sharon walked past it, she felt a pang, not just for the money spent, but for what she thought it said about her. That she quit, that she failed. But here's what Sharon learned. It was never about the machine. Your body doesn't need expensive equipment to be healthy. It needs movement, joyful, forgiving, consistent movement. A walk around the block, gentle stretching on the porch, dancing in your kitchen to the songs that bring back your best memories. Eventually, Sharon let herself off the hook. She sold the bike to a friend who would actually use it and joined a neighborhood walking group instead. Twice a week, she meets with other women at the park. No pressure, no guilt, just fresh air, good company, and steady steps. And guess what? She's more active now than she ever was with the fancy bike in her living room. So if you have a piece of equipment collecting dust, let me say this gently. You are not lazy. You are not behind. You are human. And what your body needs most isn't a product. It's your presence. Movement doesn't have to be dramatic to be effective. It just has to feel good and feel like you. 8. The empty promise of overpriced courses. There's something incredibly appealing about self-improvement. The idea that we can take a course, follow a program, and somehow unlock a new version of ourselves. At any age, the promise of growth feels hopeful, especially when life feels a little quieter, a little emptier than it used to. But not all courses deliver what they promise. And sometimes, the thing we're looking for isn't out there in a PDF or a coaching call. It's already inside us. Margaret, 71, knows this story well. After retiring from a lifelong nursing career, she felt lost. Her days had no structure, and the purpose that once got her out of bed each morning had faded. Then she saw an ad for a personal growth course, something about rediscovering your life's mission. It sounded inspiring, so she signed up. The course cost over $4,000. For several months, she attended Zoom sessions, filled out reflection worksheets, and listened to pep talks from someone half her age. And while it wasn't harmful, it wasn't exactly helpful either. When it ended, Margaret looked at her notes and realized something almost funny. Everything the course told her to do, she had already done in her life. She didn't need to discover her strength or her wisdom. She'd lived it. She didn't need someone else to tell her who she was. So she stopped searching outward and started turning inward. She joined a book club at her local library. She volunteered once a week at a women's shelter. She became a mentor to a younger neighbor who had just lost her mother. And in those moments of connection, she felt her purpose return, not because someone sold it to her, but because she shared it freely. Here's what she said to me. I didn't need a course to be valuable. I just needed a place to give what I already had. And that's the truth for so many women. You don't need fixing. You're not broken. You are evolving. You're wise. You're full of experience, stories, and grace that no online program could ever teach. So before you spend a fortune trying to find yourself, pause. Ask if what you're truly looking for is community, contribution, or simply a reminder that you're still needed, because you are, more than you know. 9. The hidden cost of buying a brand new car. There's something special about a brand new car. The fresh scent, the spotless interior, the feeling that you've earned something shiny and modern. And you have earned comfort, safety, reliability, especially at this stage in life. But here's the part many people don't talk about. New cars lose value the moment you drive them off the lot. And often, that shiny feeling comes with years of payments, added stress, and cutbacks in areas that actually bring real joy. Let me tell you about Edith. She's 75 and had always driven practical used cars. But when her old sedan finally gave out, she thought, "This time, I want something nice. I deserve it." And she did deserve something nice. So she bought a brand new SUV. Top of the line, leather seats, all the features. At first, it felt great. Friends complimented her car. The ride was smooth. But then the monthly payments started to wear on her. Groceries felt tighter. She skipped spontaneous lunches with friends. That little weekend trip she'd planned with her sister, postponed. After a year, she realized the SUV had already lost thousands in value, and in exchange, she'd given up moments that truly mattered. So she made a new choice. She traded the SUV in for a gently used, certified pre-owned vehicle. Same model, just a couple years older. Still safe, still stylish, but half the price. And with the money she saved, she took that long-awaited train trip through the Rocky Mountains, something she'd dreamed about for years. Here's what she told me. "That trip gave me memories no car ever could. We don't need to impress anyone anymore. That pressure, it's gone. What we need now is peace of mind, flexibility, and freedom from unnecessary debt." So if you're thinking about buying a new car, pause. Ask yourself what you really want. A dependable ride, or the feeling of freedom that comes from financial clarity. The destination matters so much more than the vehicle, and most of the time you don't need brand new to get where you're going. You just need something that gets you there without taking too much from you along the way. You've made it to the end, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving yourself this time, for listening, for reflecting, for being willing to take an honest look at the small money habits that sometimes sneak into our lives without us even noticing. This wasn't about judgment. It was about freedom. Because letting go of something, whether it's a spending pattern, a guilty feeling, or an old belief, doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're growing, evolving, choosing a life that feels lighter and more true to who you are today. Maybe you saw yourself in one of these stories. Maybe you thought of a friend. Maybe one little moment made something inside you shift. If so, hold on to that. You don't have to change everything overnight. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep choosing yourself, kindly, gently, and with intention. And if this message spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Was there a moment that felt personal? A habit you're ready to release? Share it in the comments, not just for you, but for someone else who might be reading and quietly searching for courage too. And if this brought you even a little peace or clarity, pass it on. Send it to someone you love, a sister, a neighbor, a friend. Because this stage of life, it's too beautiful to walk through alone. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Spend wisely, live freely, and always remember, the most meaningful investment you can ever make is in the life that still lies ahead.